In the morning, the sun slowly rose above the mountain range, casting warm golden rays over the lush green forest. Tuttien walked alone along a small stream, her bare feet wading through the crystal-clear water. She bent down, carefully picking crabs and snails, clinging to the muddy bottom. Her hands, seasoned by this work, moved without hesitation. Since leaving her husband's family, life had been tough but peaceful. No more harsh scoldings, no more demands from others. She was free to shape her own existence. After filling her basket with snails, Tuttien left the stream and walked along the forest's edge. Spotting a clear, rippling pool reflecting the sky, she paused. Covered in mud from the day's labor, she decided to clean up and refresh herself. Taking off her headscarf, Tuttien sat by the stream's edge, scooping cool water to wash her face. She untied her long hair, running her fingers through it as the stream rinsed away the dirt. A gentle breeze carried the sense of earth and greenery. Closing her eyes, she savored this rare moment of calm amid her relentless struggle. After washing her clothes, she headed back to her cave. Along the way, birds chirped cheerfully in the treetops, and sunlight filtered through the branches, painting shimmering patterns on the ground. Meanwhile, at Tien's house, his mother, Phuc, was working in the living room. Though older, she remained diligent, overseeing part of the finances for her son's projects. The door opened, and Ly Tu Tien's younger sister stepped in, holding a small gift box. Beaming, she handed it to her mother. "Mom, I got you a little present." Phuc smiled, accepting the box. "You're always thinking of me. Such a good girl." The two sat down, chatting happily. Moments later, the door opened again. This time, it was Tuan. Dressed in a white shirt, his face showed traces of exhaustion from a busy morning. "I'm home," he announced, taking off his hard hat and setting it on the table. Lynn bounded over excitedly. "Big brother, you're back early today?" "Not exactly. I just had a bit of time this afternoon, so I came home to eat with you and Mum." Phuc looked at her son, her eyes brimming with affection. She knew how demanding Tuan's work was, and how little time he had for family. The three of them gathered around the dining table, the warmth of family filling the air. Elsewhere, Tuttien sat alone in her cave, quietly eating a bowl of hot porridge she'd just made. Amid the solitude, her heart felt hollow. At midday, the blazing sun poured brilliant rays onto the bumpy dirt road. Tuan sat behind the wheel, driving Lynn to the worksite. His younger sister, seated in the passenger seat, chattered non-stop about her day. "Big brother, I met the cutest little vendor girl today, and I even helped an old lady count her money." Tuan smiled, listening as he steered the truck. Suddenly, ahead on the road, they spotted a crowd gathered around a man. From a distance, Tuan recognized Tienne, Tuttien's ex-husband, cornered by a group of thugs. "You think you can dodge your debts, Sheen?" A tall, burly man grabbed Tienne by the collar while the others loomed menacingly. Tienne shrank back, his voice trembling. "I'll pay. Just give me a little more time." Without hesitation, Tuan pulled the truck to the side and stepped out, his gaze icy as he surveyed the scene. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice low but commanding. One of the thugs turned, scowling. "None of your business. Stay out of it." Tuan stepped forward calmly, his eyes sharp. "How much does he owe you?" The leader squinted at Tuan, sensing he wasn't just some bystander. "Not much, just a few tens of millions. If he doesn't pay up today, he's done for." Tuan paused, then pulled out his phone and arranged a transfer. Once the payment was confirmed, the thugs shot Tienne a final glare before dispersing. Tienne exhaled in relief, staring at Tuan in disbelief. "Thanks, but why'd you help me?" Tuan replied coolly. "I didn't help you. I just didn't want trouble stirring up around here." With that, he returned to the truck and drove off toward Tuttien's cave. At that moment, Tuttien was on her way back when she spotted Tienne standing in front of her hut. He gave an awkward smile, his tone sugary. "Tienne, I came to see you. I know I messed up. Come back home, I'll change, I swear." Tuttien clenched her fists. "You've got some nerve showing up here after everything you put me through." Tienne forced another smile, stepping closer, but just then Tuan and Lynn arrived. "She's not your wife anymore, leave her alone," Tuan said sternly. Tienne's expression darkened as he glanced at Tuan, but he eventually slunk away. Tuttien let out a breath, turning to Tuan with a mix of emotions she couldn't quite name. For the first time in ages, she felt like someone was truly on her side. After Tienne left, Tuttien stood silently at the cave entrance, her gaze lingering on the retreating figure of the man who was once her husband. Despite her firm rejection, his honeyed words still stung. It wasn't lingering affection, just the bitter memories of the past rushing back, like a wound that hadn't fully healed. Tuan and Lin remained nearby. Lin broke the silence, her voice soft but earnest. "Are you okay, sis?" Tuttien took a deep breath and shook her head slightly. "I'm fine." Tuan watched her, his eyes reflecting a quiet understanding. He knew the scars in her heart wouldn't fade overnight. Still, he didn't want to push her to act strong when she was clearly vulnerable. After a moment he spoke gently. "If you need anything, just let me know. I'll help however I can." Tuttien nodded, though she kept her distance. She was used to handling everything herself, never imagining someone would offer help without strings attached. Once they left, Tuttien quietly walked out to the narrow path in front of her cave. Her chest felt heavy, tears threatening to spill, but she held them back. Determined not to crumble, she kept walking, hoping a passing breeze might lighten her burden. As she sat by the roadside, an elderly woman passing by noticed her sitting there, lost in thought, and stopped. "Young lady, something troubling you?" Tuttien looked up at the old woman, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. She tried to smile, but the sadness seeped through. "No, it's nothing, Mum." The woman sat beside her, her voice calm and steady. "Looking at you, I see a bit of myself when I was young. I went through plenty of hardship too, but I got through it. In this life, if no one's there to care for you, you've got to care for yourself." Her words cut gently into Tuttien's heart. She bowed her head, her hands clenching together. After a while, she stood, bowed in thanks to the old woman, and silently returned to her cave. Back inside, she lit a fire and set a small pot of porridge over it. The flames flickered, casting light on her pensive face. As the porridge began to simmer, Tuttien sat with her knees drawn up, staring into the dancing fire while her mind drifted through a tangle of thoughts. The day's events left her feeling both sorrowful and humiliated. She quietly scooped a bowl of porridge, blew on it, and brought it to her lips. But as she swallowed, tears slipped down her cheeks. She ate and cried in silence. It wasn't hunger, nor the taste of the porridge, too salty or too bland, that brought the tears. It was the unbearable weight pressing on her soul. In the spacious living room of Tuan's family villa, Tuan's mother was intently reviewing financial ledgers. Lin, Tuan's younger sister, breezed in from outside with a radiant smile, holding her phone and a small gift box. She set the box on the table and plopped down beside her mum. "Mum, I've got something to tell you," Lin said excitedly, pulling up a photo on her phone and showing it to Phuc. Phuc raised an eyebrow as she peered at the screen. She froze for a moment, then recognized the face. It was Tuttien, the girl who had picked up her dropped money before. "Isn't this the girl who helped me the other day?" Phuc asked, surprised. Lin nodded, grinning mischievously. "Yet, Mum. Her name's Tuttien. She's been through a lot, but she's so honest and hard-working." Phuc fell quiet, her gaze thoughtful. A poor girl who wasn't greedy and carried herself with dignity. Not everyone was like that. After a moment, she turned to Linny and said softly, "We should do something to help her." Lin nodded eagerly. "Yes, I was thinking the same thing. How about we go visit her together, Mum?" Without hesitation, Phuc and Lin gathered some gifts, rice, dried food, and a few essentials. Then they hopped in the car and headed toward the cave where Tuttien lived. When they arrived, Tuttien was sitting outside her cave, her eyes lost in the distance. Hearing footsteps, she looked up, startled to see Tuan's mother and sister. Lin stepped forward with a bright smile. "Hi, Tuttien. Mum and I came to visit you today." Phuc spoke gently. "You helped me last time, so I wanted to stop by and bring you a few things." Tuttien stood up, flustered, eyeing the overflowing bags in their hands. She shook her head, her voice polite but firm. "Thank you, but I can't accept all this." Phuc smiled warmly, her eyes kind. "It's no trouble, dear. It's just a small gesture. Good people deserve good things in return." Lin quickly handed the bags to Tuttien, leaving no room for refusal. After some back and forth, feeling it would be rude to keep declining, Tuttien nodded and accepted. In return, she stepped inside, gathered some wild greens and squash she'd grown herself, wrapped them carefully, and offered them to Phuc. "I don't have much, just these greens and squash. I hope you'll take them. It'd make me happy." Phuc looked at the simple, heartfelt gift, and a warmth spread through her chest. She nodded gently, accepting it, a quiet emotion stirring within her. Maybe this girl was far more remarkable than she'd ever realized. The sun climbed high, its harsh rays beating down on the construction site where Tuan was overseeing progress. Though he was the CEO of a major company, he always made a point to be on site, ensuring everything stayed on track. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he studied the blueprints, listening intently to the engineer's updates. A site manager approached respectfully. "Mr. Tuan, we're having some issues with the foundation in the western section. The soil's softer than expected. We'll need extra reinforcement for safety." Tuan nodded, his gaze sharp. "Good. Proceed with the reinforcement plan we discussed. I want everything solid before we move to the next phase." After inspecting a few more details, Tuan finally headed back to his truck and started the drive home. On the way, his thoughts drifted to Tuttien. How was she doing today? With that in mind, he decided to swing by the cave where she lived. Pulling up, Tuan stepped out and scanned the area. Tuttien's makeshift hut still stood, but it was eerily quiet inside. She wasn't there. He frowned, a flicker of worry stirring in his chest. Where'd she go? He stepped closer, peering into the hut. Everything was neatly in place, suggesting she hadn't left for good, but she was definitely not home. After waiting a while with no sign of her, Tuan decided to head back. Meanwhile, at the family villa, Phuc and Lin were in the kitchen preparing lunch. Lin bustled about rinsing vegetables, while Phuc simmered a fragrant pot of soup. "Mum, Big Brother's probably starving. What are you cooking today?" Lin asked. "Chicken soup with medicinal herbs, braised pork with eggs and boiled greens, all his favorites," Phuc replied with a smile. As the mother and daughter worked happily, Tuan arrived home. Stepping inside and seeing the familiar scene, he felt a wave of relief. "Big Brother, you're back. Go wash up. Lunch is almost ready," Lin called, rushing to greet him. Tuan smiled, but his mind lingered on earlier. When the family sat down to eat, Phuc noticed her son seemed quieter than usual and asked, "What's wrong, son? Trouble at the site today?" Tuan shook his head. "No, Mum, it's nothing, just on the way back I stopped by Tuttien's place, but she wasn't there." He fell silent, though a faint unease lingered. Why was he so concerned about her? The meal continued in the cozy warmth of family, but somewhere in Tuan's mind, Tuttien's image kept flickering, refusing to fade.
Cô, người đã hy sinh cả thanh xuân vì mái nhà này, chỉ là một cái bóng nhạt nhòa, thật sự quá nỗi đau lòng. Mẹ chồng cô không ngần ngại buông những lời cay nghiệt như thể chỉ chờ cơ hội này để trút hết khinh thường lên đầu cô. Cái nhà này cần có cháu đích tôn, chứ không phải cần một người đàn bà vô dụng. Từng lời nói chữ dắt dao cứ sâu vào trái tim tự Tiên. Đôi mắt cô đỏ hoe, bàn tay nắm chặt bảo và áo cũ. Cô kìm nén để không bật khóc trước mặt những kẻ chẳng chút thương xót cô. Chiến, người từng đỏ tay gối với cô, người từng hứa hẹn bao điều, giờ đây lại lạnh lùng đứng nhìn không một chút do dự. Cô đã không còn gì trong ánh mắt anh ta. Nỗi đau không còn dừng lại ở những lời miệt thị khi mẹ chồng lớn tiếng đuổi cô ra khỏi nhà. Tự Tiên gần như quỵ xuống, cô không biết mình đã làm gì sai ngoài việc sinh ra trong một số phận bất hạnh. Ngày cô về nhà chồng, cô cũng từng e thẹn bước qua